I'd been seeing my high school BAE for 3 years, and we decided to throw our hats in the ring for the same college. But when I excitedly showed her my acceptance letter, I caught her casually telling someone else that I could go solo. It was all just fake. It felt like a knife stabbed right through my heart, leaving me numb. I crashed on the floor crying for what felt like half an hour before my emotions started to chill out. From being heartbroken and sad to feeling pissed off and bitter, my feelings were all over the place. Now I'm strangely calm. What was once a whirlwind of emotions has settled down like a quiet sea after the storm. Wiping away my tears, I took a deep breath and approached Vanessa. I was serious as hell. I got my acceptance letter. For a second, I thought I saw a hint of guilt in her eyes. Or maybe it was just me. Vanessa cleared her throat. Yeah, I got mine too. I just stared at her, not moving. You promised that if we both got into the same college, you would… Sorry, Alex, there's something I forgot to tell you. Vanessa glanced away, dodging my gaze. My mom doesn't want me to study medicine. She pushed me to apply to West University. You said your dream was to become a doctor, I asked softly. She frowned, looking annoyed. You know how my mom is. She's always been so controlling. She says being a doctor is too tough and thankless, so she made me apply for finance at West University. I hung my head without saying anything. So that was her excuse to brush me off. Vanessa, do you really think anyone would buy that? Yes, your mom is overbearing. But when has she ever managed to make you do what she wants? Whenever you two clashed, it always ended with her giving in. I didn't voice any of these thoughts. I just looked at her and calmly said, So we won't be going to the same college. I'm sorry, Alex, Vanessa said, trying to smooth things over. Don't be mad, I'll treat you to some crayfish tonight. Plus, we can still keep in touch, call, and video chat. I didn't say anything, I just turned and left. Vanessa, there's no future for us. I'm never reaching out again. During summer break, Vanessa hit me up a few times, but I always found excuses to say no. Eventually, she stopped asking. However, she was active on social media, and I could always see her updates. She was living it up, traveling everywhere with friends. A few days ago, she was in Tibet. Now, she's in Inner Mongolia. Today, I opened my socials and saw pics of her at the beach. There were 6 or 7 people in the group. Her classmates, childhood friends, both guys and girls. They snapped a ton of group photos together. In the pics, she's standing with her back to the ocean, grinning from ear to ear. Look at her, so happy without me around. I remember telling her I wanted to see the ocean after the college entrance exams. Back then, she laughed it off. What's so special about the ocean? She clearly didn't want to go with me, so I never brought it up again. Turns out, it wasn't that she hated the ocean. She just hated hanging out with me. She was always clinging to me, which was super annoying. That's what she said that day. I never realized she found me that annoying. Annoying enough to lie about wanting to be a doctor and aiming for Peking University. After I applied to Peking, she secretly applied to West University. Did she really hate me that much? I'm not shameless. I've got my pride too. If I'd known she hated me, I wouldn't have stuck by her all the time. But I used to feel her affection for me. Vanessa and I grew up together like childhood sweethearts. Our families' houses were right next to each other, and we'd been neighbors for over a decade. We first met in kindergarten. My family had just moved, and since I was in a new kindergarten, I didn't see my old friends anymore. I cried nonstop when I arrived. Vanessa came over, handed me a lollipop, and patted my head to comfort me. Such a cute little kid. It doesn't look good when you cry. From that moment, I became Vanessa's little shadow. Wherever she went, I followed. Not just in kindergarten, even at home. Once I realized we were neighbors, I didn't even go inside after kindergarten. I went straight to her place. My mom was helpless, but Aunt Lisa was thrilled, saying she had gained a son for free. Even Vanessa's parents were surprised she was so patient with me. Before, Vanessa never liked playing with guys, saying they were too rough. Why do you like hanging out with Alex? Aunt Lisa asked her. Because Alex is so handsome. Vanessa pinched my cheeks. He's got dimples when he smiles, and I love watching him smile. I grinned like an idiot. I like hanging out with my big sis, too. My parents spoiled me, and even the neighbors and Vanessa treated me kindly. I grew up carefree and without worries. People who are pampered tend to stay more childish. I still saw myself as a kid, even in high school. As for Vanessa, I always saw her like an older sister. It was Vanessa who pushed us closer. She made me realize I'd grown up and could have feelings for a guy. In my freshman year, I got my first love letter. I was totally shocked. There was a girl who actually liked me. Playfully, I told Vanessa about it. To my surprise, her face changed instantly. "Alex, you're only a freshman. You're not supposed to date so early." She was dead serious. "Of course not. I don't even like that girl," I replied without thinking. "Are you saying if you meet someone you like, you date them?" She grabbed my arm anxiously. "I don't know. Alex, I forbid you from liking anyone else." Vanessa stared at me, every word clear. Her eyes burned with emotion, and suddenly it clicked. Was this what I thought it was? Did Vanessa like me? Thanks to TV dramas, my mind started spinning all sorts of sweet scenarios, except now the main characters were her and me. Thinking about us being like those couples in dramas, sweetly dating and then getting hitched, didn't seem so bad. But the more I thought about it, the more wrong it felt. My face heated up all the way to my neck. "Anyway, you have to promise me no dating during high school," Vanessa firmly instructed. Caught up in my romantic fantasies, I nodded eagerly. From then on, I was even more attached to Vanessa. I stopped rushing home to watch my favorite anime after school and instead sat by the basketball court waiting for her dance class to end so I could walk home with her. Young and clueless, I didn't know how to hide my feelings, and everyone around us could see how much I liked Vanessa. The way we interacted started to change. She used to always call me a kid, treating me like her little brother and loving taking care of me. But over time, it shifted to me taking care of her. She was always too impatient to eat breakfast, so every morning I'd bring 2 breakfasts, making sure she ate on her way to school with me. If bad weather was coming, I'd text her the night before, reminding her to layer up. If she caught a cold, I'd get more anxious than she was, prepping cold medicine for her ahead of time. At first, she laughed it off, calling me her little caretaker. But eventually, she got annoyed, saying I was like her mom, always nagging her. I felt wronged. I was just worried about her. Eventually, she snapped at me. During summer break of my sophomore year, one evening, Vanessa was invited to a friend's birthday bash to sing karaoke all night at KTV. She was worried her mom wouldn't approve, so she asked me to cover for her, saying she was heading to a classmate's house to study for senior year and would crash there. Since I was always seen as obedient by the adults, Aunt Lisa believed me and let Vanessa stay out. But later that night, I checked socials and saw pics posted by her friends. They were drinking at KTV. I was shook. Vanessa had never drank before. She was only a sophomore, still a student. How could she be drinking? What worried me more was that she still had a cold and a slight fever. Would drinking mess up her recovery? There were so many empty bottles on the table. How much had they downed? I started to freak out. I called Vanessa, but she didn't pick up. I paced my room, and after half an hour, I couldn't handle it anymore. I went to her house and told Aunt Lisa what was up. That night, Aunt Lisa went to KTV and dragged Vanessa home, even scolding the birthday friend in the private room, saying he was leading Vanessa astray. Vanessa felt humiliated. After being grounded for 3 days, she came out and called me to meet her at my front door. For the first time, Vanessa lost her cool with me. She yelled, "Never interfere in my business again, Alex. Who do you think you are? The worst kind of person is someone who tattles behind my back." I'd never seen Vanessa so fierce. When I went home, I felt sad for a long time. I thought, I'll never talk to Vanessa again. All summer, I didn't reach out. When senior year started, not long after, it was my birthday. Vanessa bought me the game console I'd been wanting. She stood in front of me, looking up with a pitiful expression. "Little Alex, I was wrong. Don't be mad." I was so weak-willed, I instantly forgave her. After that, Vanessa and I would argue sometimes, but every time she'd say a few sweet words, and I'd let it slide. In the second semester of senior year, I asked Vanessa where she was planning to apply. She said she wanted to be a doctor and apply to Peking University. "What about you?" she asked. Without hesitation, I replied, "Wherever you go, I'll go," though I was a bit worried I might not get in. After all, the cutoff for Peking was super high every year. Vanessa said she'd help me with my studies, which was another thing I found irresistible about her. Vanessa was genuinely smart. Even though I worked harder than her in school, my grades never matched hers. She was always so chill, yet she aced exams and was loved by the teachers. Under Vanessa's tutoring and supervision, my grades finally improved. "If I get into the same university as you, can you grant me one wish?" I looked at her with hope in my eyes. "Can I refuse?" She smiled slyly. "No, if you refuse, I'll lose all motivation to study." "All right, I promise you." She looked helpless. We both knew what that wish was. Yes, my plan was to confess to her once I got into GDU. When the exam scores came out, they were just as I expected. I was guaranteed a spot at GDU. But when the acceptance letter arrived, I realized Vanessa had been plotting this all along. She wanted to ditch me. When college started, while everyone else was hyped to hit campus, I was the only one looking down, feeling totally bummed out. Being played by the girl I once liked the most made me spiral into self-doubt. Was I really that unlikable? Did she go through all this trouble? Planning for so long just to shake me off after we started college. Vanessa had always had better grades than me, and I never thought I'd end up at the same university as her back then. My only wish was we'd be in the same city after high school. I didn't mind the hassle. I could visit her whenever I didn't have classes. Of course, Vanessa knew what I was thinking, but she didn't want that. She deceived me just to make sure we wouldn't be in the same city. Peking University and West University were thousands of miles apart. She got what she wanted. I spent my first semester at college like a zombie, zoning out in class and spacing out afterward. I never took my studies seriously. Compared to the hardworking med students around me, I was an outcast. I never had any real interest in medicine and never thought about becoming a doctor. Back then, I applied to this school purely because of my love for Vanessa. I used to daydream about holding hands with her after college, walking through campus, enjoying a sweet romance. I never actually considered that college also meant serious studying. The change happened during winter break of my freshman year. When the break started, I flew home. On the plane, a passenger next to me had a heart attack and stopped breathing for a moment. It was the first time I'd ever seen something like that, and I was terrified. While the flight attendants and passengers tried to revive him, many people were moved to tears. He had almost died right in front of us. Now he was alive again. Experiencing that moment made me realize the profound impact of saving a life. And the words of the passenger who saved him kept echoing in my mind. I'm a doctor. Witnessing a doctor save a life left me deeply shaken. I always knew a doctor's duty was to save lives, but I'd never seen it firsthand. It turns out, saving a life is so honorable. Those with such skills are truly admirable. Before I knew it, I started thinking, I want to be like him. For the first time in my life, I felt a real desire to pursue a career. I wanted to become a doctor. Throughout the entire winter break, I locked myself in my room, trying to catch up on all the first semester courses I'd missed. I didn't go out, didn't contact Vanessa, and didn't see her once. I didn't even know if she had come home during the break. In the following years of college, I put all my effort into every subject, determined to excel. Being a medical student was insanely tough. It felt even more exhausting than senior year of high school. Every day, I woke up before dawn to study and only returned to the dorm when the sky was full of stars after a long day in the library. My schedule was packed, and I never seemed to have enough time. During the 4 years of college, I barely had time to stroll through the streets or go out to have fun. But the hard work paid off. Every semester, I earned scholarships, and the professors started to remember my name. Keeping busy was the best way to handle my feelings. I thought less and less about Vanessa, only occasionally hearing about her from former classmates. She started dating someone during her second semester as a freshman, rumored to be the most popular guy at her school. Their relationship only lasted a little over 3 months before they broke up. Over the next 3 years, she had several boyfriends, but none of her relationships lasted more than a semester. The first time I saw a photo of her and her boyfriend in our high school group chat, I felt nothing. That's when I knew I had completely moved on. In my first year of graduate school, I started dating. My girlfriend was a sophomore named Selena, a special recruit from the Art Institute, and she was stunning. It was through my mentor's recommendation that I became the team doctor's assistant for the Art Institute. That's when I discovered our university even had an art institute, filled with special admission students. Their daily curriculum had nothing to do with medicine. The rigorous workload most med students both loved and hated, they didn't have to deal with any of it. After being used to seeing only guys in medical school, the first time I visited the Art Institute and saw the team members training, I was amazed. Their graceful moves were mesmerizing. It was like opening a door to a new world. I couldn't take my eyes off them. Selena was the captain of the dance team and the one I watched the most. There was something about her confidence and aloofness when she danced that was incredibly attractive. What I didn't expect was that after I treated her knee injury for the first time, she confessed her feelings to me. Her straightforwardness caught me completely off guard. I was so stunned that I forgot to act cool. My brain froze, and I agreed purely on instinct. Later, I found out from Selena's teammates that she had had a crush on me since her freshman year. It all started when I gave her a Band-Aid. Once she mentioned it, a vague memory triggered. A year ago, outside the school supermarket, I saw a girl cut her hand while opening a package. Blood started dripping from her index finger. I quickly opened my backpack, hesitated for a second when I saw the cartoon Band-Aid, but handed it to her anyway. I only remembered that the girl was pretty cute because her face flushed all the way to her ears when she put on the Band-Aid. Turns out, that girl was Selena. Fate works in mysterious ways. She told me everyone on the team knew she had a crush on me. She often attended our elective courses just to see me. Her friends encouraged her to boldly pursue me. But she heard I was the study maniac of our college. And so she was scared I only cared about studying and didn't dare confess. When I joined the team as an assistant, she was over the moon. Her teammates teased her, saying she strutted around like a peacock every day in front of me, eager to show off her dance moves. Until one of her friends couldn't stand her hesitation and teased her by saying that if she didn't confess, she'd make a move herself. When Selena heard her friend liked me too, she panicked. That day, as I was treating her knee injury, her friend purposely asked, "Senior, do you have time later?" I was thinking, he doesn't have time, when Selena immediately interrupted her and looked up at me. "Senior, will you be my boyfriend?" When I said, "Sure," she was so stunned she thought she misheard. Her friend nudged her. "What are you waiting for? Silly, didn't you hear?" "Yes," I said. It was only then Selena snapped out of it, grinning foolishly at me. Later, Selena would always ask if I had any ulterior motives from the start, wondering why I agreed to date her so quickly after her confession. "Did you become our team's medic just for me, just so you could see me every day? Were you secretly in love with me? Pretending to be cool on the outside but totally into me inside? Do you fall in love through imagination?" I laughed helplessly. "Can't you at least lie a little to make me happy?" "Actually, I fell in love with you at first sight and have been scheming to get close to you all along." "Oomph, I knew it." She proudly lifted her head. "Darn, you got your way, ha ha ha, this girl is pretty cute." Even though Selena was younger than me, she took care of me most of the time when we were together. Young people are full of energy. Every morning, she had an hour of dance practice without fail. Before we started dating, she used to wake up at 6:30, practice, and then have breakfast. After we got together, she adjusted her schedule to wake up at 6 o'clock so she could finish her training and then have breakfast with me. Sometimes, when I was too lazy to eat, she'd buy breakfast and bring it to my dorm. You don't have to work so hard, waking up so early every day. Not getting enough sleep will mess with your health. I felt a little worried for her. "Don't worry, big bro. Your little sis is strong and healthy." She smiled cheekily. "You're my energy station. Just seeing you for a few minutes in the morning gives me enough power for the whole day." Maybe it was because Selena took such good care of me. But after we got together, I realized dating was actually pretty awesome. We never fought, because whenever we disagreed, she'd always give in to me. And she really knew how to spoil someone. I found myself becoming more and more dependent on her. I used to think I was super independent, handling everything myself. But now, even when I wanted a cup of milk tea, my first thought wasn't to order delivery but to ask Selena to get it for me. It's true. Sweet words can melt your heart. She said she wanted to spoil me until I couldn't live without her. And she nailed it. When winter break came, Selena took me to the airport. "Are you really not letting me go with you?" she asked, pretending to be upset. "You've already asked that like 180 times. I was exasperated. "Actually, I don't need any official status. I could just stay at a hotel nearby, and you could come see me when you have time. Just promise you won't forget about me." How did I never realize she was such a drama queen? "All right, behave. I'll video call you every day. Promise?" Finally, I managed to calm her down and waved goodbye. A few days before Lunar New Year, my mom told me Aunt Lisa had invited our family over for dinner. "Vanessa is bringing her boyfriend home today," she said. Her mom said it's been a while since both families got together, so she thought it'd be nice to have a lively gathering. Wow, Vanessa is bringing her boyfriend home. That's a first. I'm curious. Is he good looking? Your aunt has only seen pics, but she says he's quite handsome. Well, Vanessa always had high standards. My mom smiled. When you two were little, we used to joke about how you and Vanessa would end up together. Do you remember? I pretended to forget. Really? I don't remember. To me, Vanessa always felt more like an older sister. Fate is funny like that. We grew up together, but no romance came of it, just a sibling bond. That's a good thing too, but look at her. She's had several boyfriends already, and here you are, a grad student still single? My mom's tone got serious. I used to worry about you dating too early, but now you're in your 20s. Isn't it time to start? I cleared my throat. Mom, I already have a girlfriend." My mom's eyes lit up with excitement. "You do? Where does she go to school?" Even as we reached Vanessa's house, my mom kept asking about Selena's details. My dad pretended to be uninterested, but he was clearly eavesdropping with keen interest. When we arrived at the Lin family home, I saw a handsome young guy sitting on the sofa. He had short black hair and wore a white shirt, looking elegant and attractive. After graduating from college, Vanessa didn't pursue further studies. Instead, she joined her family's business, learning management from her dad. The young man was her assistant. I heard he also graduated from a prestigious university, and within a month of joining the company, he became Vanessa's assistant. Not long after, they started dating. Aunt Lisa mentioned his parents were both high school teachers, coming from a scholarly family, compared to Vanessa's last boyfriend who had tattoos all over his arms. Aunt Lisa was thrilled with this one, even though she'd never brought any of her boyfriends home before. She sure dated quite a few. One worked as a bartender in a nightclub. I was so worried Vanessa would get caught up in something shady. A boy working at a bar, could that be simple? Thankfully, they broke up after just a month. Aunt Lisa had shared this with my mom before. It seemed Vanessa had a rich dating history over the past few years. When my parents and I arrived at the Lin family home, the older folks went to chat in the smaller sitting room. I sat on the living room sofa, playing on my phone while watching Vanessa and her boyfriend show off their love. They were snuggled up together the whole time. The only acknowledgement Vanessa gave me was a greeting when I came in. Then she went right back to playing games with her boyfriend. "Why are you so bad at this? Don't run around randomly. Just stick with me." "How did you set off the trap again? Now you're going to attract all the enemies." After listening for a bit, I realized what game they were playing. It made me think of Selena because she had introduced me to that same game. I wasn't particularly good at gaming, often getting lost even in big buildings, unable to find my way. But Selena was much gentler with me. No matter what mistake I made, even if I accidentally exposed our position during the final showdown and got her killed, she never got mad. She'd just smile and say, "It's okay, it's just a game." During dinner, the older folks couldn't stop praising Vanessa's boyfriend, calling him both handsome and capable. My mom even asked, So, when are you two planning to get married? Vanessa just smiled without answering. I noticed her boyfriend's smile falter slightly. By the way, Alex, have you started dating? Aunt Lisa asked with a smile. Before I could answer, my mom chimed in. He has. His girlfriend is younger than him. Vanessa choked on her water, and her boyfriend quickly patted her back. How much younger? Uncle Lisa asked. Ever the gossip. 3 years younger than me. She's a sophomore this year, I answered. Just 3 years. That's not a big difference, Aunt Lisa said. When will you bring her home to meet us? For some reason, just thinking about Selena's face made me smile. Since we started dating, I felt much happier overall. Maybe next holiday, I thought for a moment. If I come home, I'll bring her over. Vanessa put down her chopsticks and said to my parents, Uncle, Auntie, take your time eating. I'm done. She got up from the table. Her boyfriend quickly set down his chopsticks and smiled apologetically at us. I'm done too. Then he stood up and hurried after Vanessa. After dinner, I didn't see Vanessa or her boyfriend around the house anymore. We spent some time at the Lynn family home before heading back. That afternoon, I went out to pick up a package. When I opened the door, I was startled to see a familiar figure leaning against the wall outside. Vanessa, what are you doing here? You're really dating someone? She stared at me, her eyes filled with emotions I couldn't quite understand. Yes, I nodded. Vanessa was silent for a long time before she finally spoke. I'm sorry. Huh. I was confused. About the college applications, she explained. Oh, that. It's fine. That was so long ago, I said, almost having forgotten about it. Back then, I was young and impulsive. I wanted everything to go my way. I thought you were too controlling, too clingy, so I wanted to ditch you. That's why I lied about wanting to be a doctor. I knew that if I applied to Peking University, you would definitely apply there too. That had hurt me deeply at the time. Her actions were painful, but years had passed, and now I was truly over it. I tried to comfort her. It's okay, Vanessa. I'm not angry anymore. It was my selfishness that hurt you. I only cared about my own little schemes and didn't think about your future. You have your own dreams, your own things you want to do. I shouldn't have used such a careless way to decide your future. Vanessa's voice was tinged with bitterness. I've heard that studying medicine is really hard. You even have to do a combined bachelor's and master's degree, which takes so many years. If you don't put in the hard work, you won't do well. You never wanted to be a doctor before, so it must be tough for you now. No, Vanessa, I actually like studying medicine now, I interrupted her. Really? That's amazing? Vanessa smiled softly, tilting her head and blinking at me like she used to. Really? That's amazing. Of course, I said proudly. Then I wish you all the success, she encouraged me. Thanks. I felt a bit embarrassed. And I'm sorry, Vanessa. I must have been a real burden to you back then. Always clinging to you. I was young and didn't know any better. Alex, she laughed. You were never a burden to me. The one who was young and foolish was me. Not long after the semester started, one day while Selena and I were on a date, I suddenly got a call from Vanessa. Are you free tonight? I want to treat you to dinner, she said straight up. Huh? You don't even live in the same city as me. How are you going to treat me to dinner? I'm here on a business trip. Oh, well, I already made plans with Selena. We're having dinner tonight, Selena, your little girlfriend. Right. Why don't you both come along? I'm not going to bite. All right. I'll pick you up at 6 at your school. After I hung up, Selena asked, Who was that? A neighbor, an older sister. She's here on a business trip and wants to treat us to dinner at 6 sharp. My phone rang. Vanessa told me she was already outside my dorm. I was surprised. I never told her my dorm building. She sounded confident. How hard is it to figure out? Didn't you say you were one of the top students in your department? I quickly called Selena and asked her to meet me downstairs. When I got downstairs, I saw Selena already standing at the entrance. I ran over and grabbed her hand as we headed out. A sleek black car was parked outside the dorm. Its luxury brand and elegant design stood out like a sore thumb on the humble campus, attracting curious glances from other students. To make matters worse, standing next to the car was a stunningly beautiful woman, dressed to perfection, not wanting to be the center of attention. I quickly pulled Selena along and gave Vanessa a look. Let's get going. Since there was a driver, Selena and I sat in the back while Vanessa took the front passenger seat. Why were you in such a rush to get in the car? Vanessa asked with a laugh once we started moving. Your car and your presence are way too flashy. I didn't want to be stared at, I said, smiling. I didn't think about that. Sorry about that. Vanessa apologized good-naturedly. When we arrived at the restaurant, I noticed the decor was ridiculously luxurious. Even more ridiculous were the other diners. Everyone was dressed in formal attire. Men in suits, women in evening gowns. Selena and I stood out like sore thumbs. She was in casual wear, and I was even more conspicuous in my sportswear. Once we sat down, I whispered to Vanessa, "Why such a fancy place? I thought we were just grabbing a casual meal." Vanessa chuckled. "This is casual." And I was worried Selena might feel uncomfortable sitting there, but she seemed completely unfazed, enjoying her meal more than anyone. I was overthinking things. After we got back to campus, Selena asked, "Is Vanessa really only 3 years older than me?" "Yeah, she's my age," I nodded. "She seems so mature and wise, but her actions are kind of childish." "What do you mean?" Selena wrapped her arms around me. "She likes you. I could tell." Tonight, she was showing off her wealth in front of me to make me feel inferior. But I'm not falling for it. My heart is strong. Besides, you liking me is my greatest wealth. Something she can never compete with. How could that be? Vanessa already has a boyfriend. She even brought him home for the new year. Women's intuition is never wrong. After that dinner, Vanessa started coming to our city on business trips more often. Every time, she'd find an excuse to visit me at school. In the past 6 months, I'd seen her more times than I did in the past 4 years combined. Each time we met, she'd bring me gifts. Once, I posted a photo on social media showing a trip to the mall. In the bottom right corner of the pic, there was a tiny glimpse of a glass display case with a watch inside. 2 days later, Vanessa showed up and brought me that exact watch as a gift. It was outrageous. It was just a casual photo, and I hadn't even noticed the display case in the corner. I started to realize things were getting a bit out of hand. When Vanessa asked to meet again during another business trip, I made up excuses to avoid her. After I turned her down 3 times, she called me. "Are you avoiding me?" "No, I'm just really busy." I played dumb. "I barely even have time to spend with Selena lately, and she's been complaining." "You don't need to spend any time with me. Just tell me where you'll be, and I'll come see you for a few minutes and then leave." "Vanessa, we're in the middle of a closed lab experiment. My advisor is really strict. It's just not convenient." I stuck to my refusal. "Then I'll wait for you outside your dorm." "You have to come back to the dorm eventually." "Right. I'll just see you for a minute and then go." Vanessa's tone was firm. I sighed. It seemed like I had no choice but to meet her. That night, when I returned to the dorm, Vanessa was already waiting outside. This time, she didn't drive the flashy car to avoid drawing attention. She even changed out of her fancy clothes and wore casual attire instead. "I brought you some chestnut cakes. My mom made them especially for you," she said, holding up a box. "It's a gift from the elders. You can't refuse this time." After thinking for a moment, I said, "Vanessa, let's find a place to sit and chat." We went to a small bubble tea shop just outside the back gate of the school. The tiny shop, with its small tables, looked completely out of place compared to Vanessa's polished appearance. "You haven't been to a place like this in a while." I started. "It's obvious we've become people from 2 different worlds. You're a successful career woman who hits up high-end spots, and I'm just a student buried in my studies." "Alex, don't push me away like this." Vanessa's voice was filled with sadness. "Hearing you say things like that makes me feel awful. But it's the truth. We grew up together, and that was our bond. But after the college entrance exams, we went our separate ways, and that bond ended. That's the thing I regret most in my entire life." Vanessa's eyes were full of a sadness I couldn't understand. Huh, I didn't quite follow. If I had known that being apart from you would turn out this way, I never would have done what I did. I was so young and arrogant. Now I understand that those few words can ruin someone's life. Vanessa kept her gaze fixed on me. Actually, not long after I started my first year of college, I already regretted it. Alex, do you know what it's like to miss someone? I used to be annoyed by how you clung to me, always wanting to shake you off and enjoy my freedom. But after we were apart, when you weren't around, I realized how much I needed you. She put her hands to her forehead. I didn't realize how important you were to me. You were like air, something I never noticed but couldn't live without. I used to complain about seeing you every day, but after going to college, I realized how happy those days were. Now, just getting to see you is so hard. I laughed. Do you even believe what you're saying, Vanessa? You started dating as soon as you entered college. Over these past few years, you've had more boyfriends than I can count on two hands. And now you're playing the role of someone deeply in love. At this point, my patience had run out. Honestly, I didn't want to see her anymore. Our families were neighbors, and our parents had a good relationship. After she played me over such an important thing as college applications, I let it go out of respect for our families, but that doesn't mean I think highly of her character. I can keep up appearances for the elders, but privately, I'd never get close to her again. This is what they call one mistake leading to another, Vanessa said with a bitter smile. I was so young back then, full of this inexplicable arrogance. I always thought that if I contacted you first, I'd be lowering myself. I was too proud to make the first move. I thought if I dated someone else, I wouldn't think about you as much. But even though I had boyfriends, the emptiness inside me never went away. I realized that wasn't what I really wanted. I even made sure you heard about my relationships, hoping it would get you to reach out, but you stayed quiet. I wasn't satisfied. So I changed boyfriends again, and it turned into a vicious cycle. That's quite a strategy, I said honestly. So what you're telling me is that you've liked me all this time, and your way of showing that was by constantly getting new boyfriends. You deserve everything you got. Yes, I deserve it, she admitted. The moment I found out you had a girlfriend, I realized just how wrong I'd been these past few years. You weren't holding a grudge. You had really moved on. I was so sure that since you hadn't dated anyone during that time, you were waiting for me. Vanessa, no one waits forever for someone else. I'm not that stupid, and you're not worth it. I know I don't deserve it. I've made too many mistakes, and now it's too late. She grabbed my hand desperately. Alex, I'll change. If you like cute and caring girls like Selena, I can be like that too. I'll be anything you want. Just give me one more chance, please. I firmly pulled my hand away. I have a girlfriend, and I love her. You had a boyfriend too. We broke up, right after New Year's. I'm single now, she interrupted, her voice urgent. That's your business, I said calmly. But I'm not breaking up with my girlfriend. This is the last time I'll see you. Don't come looking for me again. That's your business, I repeated calmly. But I'm not breaking up with my girlfriend. This is the last time I'll see you. Don't come looking for me again. It's really annoying. As I stood up to leave, I saw Vanessa slump over the table, her shoulders trembling. After that, Vanessa never came to see me again. Finally, she understood. Things with Selena were stable, and we were happy together. After graduating from medical school, I started working at the city's first hospital and became a surgeon, just as I'd hoped. Work was busy, but my relationship with Selena didn't cool off. She always made time for me. Sometimes, when I had to work late into the night, she'd bring healthy meals to the hospital, and during my short breaks, we'd eat together. No matter how hectic things got, she always found a way to see me. Even my mom said, "Selena is so good to you. She does so much for you. Don't let her down," my mom advised. When I was 28 and Selena was 25, I proposed to her. That year, she graduated with her master's degree and was about to start a new chapter in her life. On the day of the wedding, I was so excited that I woke up at 3 a.m., pacing back and forth in the living room. In just a few hours, I'd be meeting my bride. From that day on, we'd be together for the rest of our lives. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. Later that morning, the makeup artist had to use a ton of concealer to hide my dark circles. It was my first time wearing makeup, and it felt kind of fun. On the way to pick up the bride, I couldn't resist texting Selena. My tone was playfully pitiful. "Haven't seen you in 3 whole days. I miss you so much." She sent back a heart emoji. "From now on, we'll see each other every day." "Yep, and you'll have to give me a good morning kiss every day." We kept chatting back and forth. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Vanessa. I hesitated for a moment before answering. "Alex, I'm standing on the rooftop of Koo Tower right now. If you go through with this wedding, I'll jump." I gripped the phone tightly. "Vanessa, don't do anything rash." "Alex, I was wrong. Please don't get married. Don't marry anyone else. Just the thought of you spending the rest of your life with someone else makes me want to die. I can't stand it. I can't watch you walk down the aisle with another woman." Vanessa's voice was shaking with sobs. "Selena and I love each other. There's nothing wrong with us getting married, and we haven't wronged anyone." I replied calmly. "I don't care. I won't allow it. I don't want you to get married. If you insist on going through with it, I'll jump off this building," she shouted. "The only thing I can do is call the police." "What happens next is none of my concern," I said clearly. "So even if I jump, you won't stop the wedding? That's your life, not mine. I can't control what you do." All right, Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Alex, you're cruel. I'll make sure you regret this for the rest of your life." She hung up. I called the police, gave them the details and location, and continued on my way to pick up Selena. The wedding went smoothly. Selena was the most beautiful bride in my eyes. After the banquet, I got another call from Vanessa. "I lied. I didn't jump," she said weakly. "I just wanted to check one last time if you had any feelings left for me. If you did, I was ready to do whatever it took to win you back. But now I know. I overestimated myself. You really don't care about me at all. Besides, I was ready to do whatever it took to win you back. But now I know. I overestimated myself. You really don't care about me at all. Besides, I couldn't bear to make you feel guilty if I actually did jump." I let out a sigh of relief. "That's good to hear." There was a pause. And then Vanessa said, "Alex, I wish you happiness." "Thanks, I will be." Selena and I were super happy after getting married. We had a pair of adorable twins, a boy and a girl. Our families and the Lisa family still kept in touch regularly. When Vanessa turned 30, she couldn't handle her parents' constant pressure to get married. So she agreed to go on a blind date. Not long after, she got married. Less than a year later, they divorced. Aunt Lisa came to my mom, complaining bitterly. She said she overheard Vanessa talking to her ex-husband on the phone. That's how she found out they had an arranged marriage. Her ex-husband was still deeply in love with his deceased ex-girlfriend and had vowed never to fall in love again. Vanessa, on the other hand, had no interest in romance anymore. Both of them were under immense pressure from their families to get married. So they made a deal to have an arranged marriage just to appease their families. A year later, as agreed, they divorced. Now, whenever their families pushed them to remarry, they simply said, "Why get married again just to get divorced again?" That response successfully silenced their elders. Can you believe it? She even came up with such a ridiculous idea and went through with an arranged marriage. Does she think marriage is a joke? She gets married and divorced just like that. How did I end up with such a troublesome child? Aunt Lisa sobbed as she complained. My mom did her best to comfort her. Vanessa's parents didn't know what to do with her. They were scared that if they pushed her too hard, she might come up with some other wild idea. So, Vanessa never married again. Later, during a finance interview, the host asked her why she wasn't married. "I missed my true love and realized I lost the ability to love anyone else. I wouldn't want to waste someone else's time," she said with a lazy smile. True love, Selena? Sitting beside me gave me a sharp look with a strong sense of self-preservation. I quickly grabbed the remote and changed the channel, giving an awkward smile. Oh, I didn't know she had a true love. Wonder who that could be. Dad, who's your true love? My daughter? Sitting on the floor playing with the building blocks? Ask me. I pulled the gentle woman beside me into my arms. Of course, it's your mom. No way, my daughter pouted. Mom is my true love. She's mine, I said, playfully arguing with her. My daughter, unable to win the argument, ended up bursting into tears. Selena quickly picked her up and comforted her while shooting me a glare. Really, you're arguing with a child. Our son also grabbed a toy to help cheer up his sister. I looked around at the toys scattered all over the floor, the chaotic living room, my crying daughter, and my wife and son comforting her, and I couldn't help but smile. I stood up to start my daily task, picking up the toys. It's a chore that really tests your patience, but I enjoy it. This is what life is all about, finding warmth in the little things, daily meals, the simple joys of family life. This is the happiness I've always wanted.